My name is Jamin. I'm your first friend in Alaska. I'm also an associate real estate broker in South Central Alaska. And I'm going to be very upfront. I don't talk about myself very much on this channel. You know, the main purpose is to just provide you very tactical, useful information to help you make decisions. And I don't really focus on me as much just because it's just not as relevant. But, I was like, if I'm being your first friend moving to Alaska, it might be a good idea just to kind of share a couple things about me just so people kind of understand a bit of where I'm coming from when I'm making advice. So we're going to go into that today, and this might be popular. It might get like 2 views, like the worst viewed video that I have, but either way, let's talk about it, and give this video a like, subscribe, comment down below, do all that good stuff, and let's jump into it. One of the more interesting things about me that most people might not be aware of is I was actually an Olympic hopeful for the 2016 Olympics, at least for qualifying for the Olympic time trials for the marathon. I did not run or compete in track or cross country and high school or middle school at all. I just walked onto a team, the college team at Angelo State University, and within a couple of years, broke the school record and was actually right on pace to provisionally qualify for the race for some of the best runners in the country. And that's after only 3 years of actually hard training. So, got done with my career right around, I think it was 2014, 2015, and I was right on pace to qualify for the Olympic time trials. And I was throwing down some awesome times. I think I did a 20, maybe it was a 16-mile run. Average was right around 5:20 or so per mile. So I was sitting pretty good, clicking right along, and a fracture to my foot. And, pretty painful to say the least. It's not like there was a big traumatic event. I just did a workout and then foot was really hurting afterwards, and just that dull throbbing pain just didn't go away after a couple of days, to the point where I was just limping around at work because of course I was serving tables during this time too. And unfortunately, just the way, broke college kid, I just did not have the ability to take time off and stay off my foot, so I had to just continue working and serving tables during that time. So that was not a whole lot of fun, but yes, there you go. I did have dreams and aspirations of, Rio in 2016, and didn't quite work out, but who knows? Maybe I'll get that career up and going again. Another interesting thing about me most people aren't aware of is I was almost in Pitch Perfect 2. That is correct. I almost made it onto the big screen. And here's what happened. So it's kind of related to the first point of being in really good shape. I actually knew someone who was in the production on that project, and they were looking for background people that were in really good shape. And there I was. So my friend reached out and said, "Hey, are you interested?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Just tell me where which state I need to go to." And during that same time period, in that same week that I needed to be there in order to make it happen, though. Had some siblings that were doing a mission trip down to Mexico on a border town, and seemed a little sketchy, so I decided to go there instead to kind of just go with them and make sure it was all right. So glad I did that, but I had my opportunity for greatness, and unfortunately I lost it, so probably not going to be on the big screen anytime in the near future now. And this is going to sound a little pretentious, so I'm just going to go through this and try to keep it as less pretentious as possible. I did attend the presidential school at Texas A&M University, and with the intention of becoming a foreign service officer, aka diplomat or an ambassador. Now, what was so fun about the program at Texas A&M is your teachers, your professors actually were retired ambassadors and CIA counterintelligence officers, and a lot of people who really shaped history, so their perspective on world events was just so different from what you found anywhere else. Because usually when people are telling about history, it's very much just, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. But at this school, it was, I did this and then so-and-so did this, then I countered with this, and the perspective is just so different, and there's just so much you can learn from these retired practitioners. So that was a ton of fun. And, clearly the next best thing you can do after attending a program like that is to go sell real estate in Alaska. So yes, there's definitely a different story there. We'll talk about that at another time. But yes, that is kind of the career field I saw myself doing coming out of school. All right, this next one is probably about the nerdiest I get, and that is that I'm a really big history buff. I mean, I am constantly reading textbooks and new history information that's coming out there. Right now, I'm kind of on a World War II kick and kind of studying Patton and kind of the Battle of the Bulge. And probably going to switch gears and maybe go take a look at the Pacific War and Midway and all that in the near future. But, for me, I for whatever reason, just love studying history. And actually used to volunteer for a historical society where you'd get the opportunity to sit down and help where I was at, the West Texas Historical Society at Angelo State University. You'd sit down and transcribe the actual journals from pioneers who originally went and settled that entire area. So it's really unique working at a society like that, because you don't have the really regurgitated, digested version of history you get in your textbooks. You get to read the primary sources and decide for yourself what was going on and what the takeaways were. So that's really what I like about those historical societies and those archives. So if you haven't done that recently, certainly go give it a try. All right, we're going to take a quick break here real quick. Just as a reminder, do have a relocation guide for those of you considering moving to Alaska. If that's something that would help you, do feel free to reach out and register. My website, link for that is in the description section down below. Just go register, put relocation guide in the comment section so I know what to send you, and I'll make sure it gets over to you post haste. Okay, let's go and finish up today's video. Okay, you know what? I said being the history buff was probably the nerdiest thing that I do. I take that back. This is actually so much nerdier, and that is that I actually have written quite a few fantasy manuscripts for novels. In other words, I've written a fantasy novels and everything, and it was a ton of fun doing it. I know you might not think that I seem like a very analytical person, but I do actually really enjoy sitting down, doing the world creating and kind of designing characters that are going to be really interesting and compelling. And, really love doing that. Haven't had a chance to do that in a while, but when I was in that mode, I would, number of my shorter stories did gain some nationwide recognition and attention. The Writers to the Future, actually one of my favorite writers, David Farland, did actually review the short story that I sent in, which, that's awesome. And I'll probably jump back into that at some point here. I don't think I'll be able to stay away forever, but it's definitely not something I've done in a while. But yes, I've written quite a few manuscripts for novels, specifically in the fantasy genre. All right, another thing about me you might not guess just in our interactions is I do actually come from a pretty large family. I've got 9 siblings. That's a lot of socialization from a young age, you might say. And I was actually also homeschooled all 12 years. We all were. And yeah, it's a great experience and all that. If you want to talk homeschool, talk shop some time from someone who's actually that was their upbringing, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat and answer what questions you might have about it. All right. Last but not least, I consider candy corns to be barely edible, and yet you put them in front of me and I just, for whatever reason, can't stop eating them. I'm not sure if there's some core memory that I've forgotten in my past that involves candy corns, but if you put them in front of me, I will not be able to stop myself until the entire bag is gone. So I guess that's more of a vice than anything else, but yeah, there you go. All right, this has been my video talking all about me, and it's kind of outside the norm for me, so thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time.